What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dark Professor, Dark Stroker with this week's view. And this week it's going to be an edition of 10 anime for beginners. So, what this is, with anime rising in popularity, more people are getting into it, and then, it's discussed on live, where it's like podcasts or whatever, where they're entertainment focused or not. And so you have, some people, like, people discuss, like what, like, how much, like, how they get into anime, where, and some go like all the way in, and then they get turned off by something, whatever, and then but then you have one like there's ones I say like we're going to the lowest common denominator, like for like normies. I'd say there's ones that are beginner level. That's ones they could start with, yeah. Basically, I'm gonna get and how I'm gonna handle this is mostly for genres that I like watch. Like there's some genres I don't watch. I'm not really gonna get into those. You know, but like basically like the romance type genres. I'm not gonna get into that. Um, but for like other genres, I will on these lists, and so I'm gonna explain why I think each franchise is for me. I'm gonna do a franchise, not individual series, because there's some franchises where they have so many series you can almost have whole videos just focus on them. So it's just gonna be overall franchise. So with all that being said, on with the video. Death Note. I mean, look, this is a obvious one. You know, it basically it's a simple murder mystery. You have like obviously Light Yagami, you know, being Kira. You have Ryuk being the Shinigami. And you have L, well both L's. And yeah, it's basically just a murder mystery. Yeah, there's some supernatural stuff brought in, of course, with the Death Note, with the Shinigami. You know, but I think the fact that it's mostly just a murder mystery, I think that'll make it more palpable to people, and like the whole dynamics between like L, Kira, and all that, and and then of course Light and Misa, like basically those dynamics, like the stakes of like basically being a big cat mouse game. I think that all that stuff would be appealing to a lot of people. Cowboy Bebop. I mean, might be like this is like one of the best like beginners level anime of all time. I mean, it's like basically it's just sci-fi. Like there's travel around different planets, finding bounties. Like that's all. And of course you have Spike Spiegel, Jet Black, Faye Valentine, Edward Wong, and Ein. I mean, like Faye was like probably like for a lot for a lot of people I guess who started with Bebop or who were around the 90s. Faye was probably a lot of people's first waifu. Like for obvious reasons. And yeah, so and Cowboy Bebop helped like get anime to be a lot more popular in the West, like in the early 2000s. So it's known for being like a gateway series for people. And yeah, it's like it's a space western, like really freaking good. Like the humor's great. Of course, you also with Vicious, the Red Dragons. So yeah, it's a really good beginner anime. Psychopaths. So, this is like a psychological thriller, crime series, deals with the whole like you have like some AI scanning people's minds to see where they have a tendency to do criminal acts. And like if they go too far, they're labeled as a criminal and either arrested or killed, whatever. And, some that can be useful. They're basically, they're basically used as like enforcers to like they're the latent criminals. They help. It's the inspectors who like use the guns to like scan their the crime like person's crime coefficient. And journalists believe that if someone is an enforcer, like they really can't like get like to like a regular like to like a legal uh I guess crime coefficient color. And yet and yeah, so you see all like also with the civil system, like the flaws are exposed, how like basically it's powered by like the brains of people who are like immune to the civil system. And like Akane Suminori's like like the main inspector you see, Shinya Kogami's like is like the main enforcer in the first season. Then you have all stuff there like with Kogami going on the run. You have like the other people who get brought in. Like but yeah, you have all these enforcers like inspectors, like you see like a lot of stuff like how things can get to go wrong. Yeah, it's a really good like psychological thriller series, so, like because you have like all the stuff like questions about is the system useful, like is the system good, is there like privacy laws it can break, should we trust AI to like determine if someone's a criminal or not. um I have my opinions about that. Like this show, it doesn't necessarily, I guess, give you a tell you what way to think as far as like where the civil system's a good idea. It's more so it just is. They got and characters got to deal with it that it exists. And yeah, and it's a series I hope does come back in the future. Lupin the Third. I mean, this was simple heist like series. Like obviously you have Lupin. He's the grandson of the gentleman thief R.C. Lupin. Famous literary character created by Maurice LeBlanc. And you have like his allies. Like you have Daisuke Jigen, Fujiko Mine, Goemon Ishikawa the 13th. Of course, Goemon's like a descendant of you know of like a of like a real lot of like a Japanese outlaw like who stole valuables, gave to the poor and all that. Like a legendary outlaw from like the 1500s. And you have like basically like you have Fujiko was like considered to be one of like the prototypical like femme fatales, like the and one of the prototypical waifus in anime. Like during like and basically Lupin like it's like very much a comic book like relief character. A lot of times he's freaking funny. Like it's definitely like some jokes are definitely. Of course, you have Zenigata who's like going after them. Where it's as Japanese police or as part of Interpol. Like yeah, like it's a pretty good like franchise. Spy Family. I mean, this is just like a simple spy story. You have Twilight, aka Lloyd Forger, he's a spy. Your Forger, who's a the assassin. You know, and basically as far as like any like supernatural stuff, like you have like Anya, who's like can read minds, and like you have like all the facial expressions, the humor, like it's freaking funny with all the characters. Of course, you have like how this is somehow a somewhat stable family, despite being basically a fake family. But yeah, it's like a really good show. And like I think for a lot of people this would be a good like beginner level one. Like even for people who like may get like turned off by like the over exaggerate like facial expressions. I think this is still be a good series a lot of them would enjoy because of all the humor that's associated with all that. IQ. Um yeah, this I mean it's about volleyball. It's a sports series. So like honestly you have like you have the main character Shoyo Hanta, you know, basically wants to be like he tries to be like a spiker, and you have his whole dynamic with like his dynamic with the other players, especially with Kageyama, because they're kind of like rivals, but they do try to work together. You have also with Karasuno, like basically the powerhouse school that's foreign power school is trying to get back like to prominence. You have all the players struggles with balancing school and sports. With the struggles of losing because of how like the tournament rules work, where you can be gone after your can be done after like one round or whatever. Like it's like there's some stakes in like how I guess the tournament rules work in volleyball. But yeah, it's a good series. Like it's mostly just like it's a sports series, so like I think for a lot of people that's very palpable. Blue Lock. I mean, like with Haikyuu, this is a sports series for soccer, not volleyball. And you have where all the players are strikers trying to become like the representative for the U20 national team. You know, you have 300 strikers, and then of course you have all stuff with the like with of course you have Doichi Isagi try how he improves, like even though he's not the most physically gifted, how he uses his mind to like surpass the other players. And you have all different characters, they show like aura, whatever they play, or whatever they like go into like the flow state, whatever. And you see like yeah, how like you see some characters' backstories, like how like dealing with stuff that I guess actual athletes in real life deal with. Where it's the pressures of like stardom, of being a like an athlete with high expectations. I'm honestly surprised they never got into like PEDs. I'm honestly surprised that has not been a thing. Cause I I'm actually surprised that something like this you want to have someone like break and just take steroids, whatever. That was like that's like my only surprise. Yeah, it's a very good series. One of the Blue Lock's one of the best sports series out there. So yeah, it's a pretty good I think for beginners. Spirited Away. I mean, it's a Studio Ghibli movie. I mean, Ghibli is basically like the Japanese Pixar. So I would say basically all those movies would be good for for beginners. So you have also with Chihiro ending up in that in with in like the in that little bathhouse or whatever, where she meets Haku, and then her parents return the pigs, and you have also a Yuba. And so her interactions with all the different spirits, all the workers. Of course, you have No Face, where who No Face his design has been inspiration for multiple like fictional characters, you know, across like across other franchises. And so yeah, it's a good movie. Definitely one of Studio Ghibli's best movies, and definitely their most famous one since it won an Oscar. So that probably helps give it some clout. Gundam. So yeah, this is one of those franchises where like if you did individual series, you could basically have multiple videos just focus on Gundam. I mean, just like most part, it's a good franchise. Not everything is great, but like it's decent. Like overall, as a franchise, is decent. You have like you know PTSD that a lot of soldiers deal with, especially if they're child soldiers, which this franchises has a lot of. Most to do though with like at least in UC, you have like the new types, how their psychic powers are highly desired to the point where they in the UC you have like different groups make these artificial new types. And the new type plot point's not necessarily always been the best. In UC, it was done significantly better in After War Gundam X, and then you had the innovators in Gundam 00. Like innovators was probably the best usage of a new type like plot point. And as far as and then of course you have Iron Blood Orphans, which in my opinion at the time of recording this, I would say it's the best Gundam show. Like does very well like with character writing and the combat stuff. Yeah, and you like the Gundam franchise is a good franchise for the most part. Like it's I would say it's simple, just like it's a space opera. You have to go into basically robot suits and fight each other. Like it ain't much like it I would say it's pretty palpable from that. Like I guess I could see how like some of the kid characters can annoy people. Like Cats in Zeta Gundam, his death was very much satisfying because I didn't want to deal with that brat. like like he like some of the kid characters can piss some people off because some of them are annoying, but I think overall, like with with a lot of the other characters, like Bright Noah, Char Aznable, you know, like a lot of them like make this series like the side characters like in UC, like a lot of those help drive the shows. Like generally, it's not the protagonists that make the show good in UC. I mean sometimes, but especially outside UC. But like, yeah, it's mostly it's just simple like pilots flying mobile suits and fight each other. And yes, it does get to like emotions, PTSD, all that, but I think the whole like the world, like the combat system and all that, I think that would be appealing to a lot of people. Trigun. Now, this is like one of like another one of those like all-time great beginner level anime. At least the original one from '98. I haven't seen Stampede or Stargaze. Didn't really want to after seeing like the trailers and all that. But yeah, the original show definitely is pretty good. Can't really say anything about Stampede and Stargaze. And the Badlands Rumble movie is pretty good. But yeah, you have Fast to Stampede. Basically like has like these like supernatural abilities, like very good with the gun. Of course, his dynamic with Meryl Streep, Melly Thompson, David Nicholas, D. Wolfwood, and like it's funny seeing how Vash tries to avoid killing people, and like it's a western. It's very much like a western, and, which basically like how like they go like characters go to different like towns where see an enemy, fight the enemy. That's it. And like the sci-fi stuff. As far as sci-fi goes, outside like the stuff with like the like outside stuff with like knives, the plants, whatever, all that. A lot of the time stuff's relatively low level, so it is kind of grounded for a sci-fi. Outside until you get to like the backstory of Vash and knives, and yeah, it's a really good like show. I would say pretty good show to, like for people to get into anime with. So yeah, I recommend watching it. And that's it. Do you like this video? Dislike this video? Do you agree with my list of beginner level anime? Do you disagree with it? Do you have your own recommendations for what could be considered beginner level anime? You can put all that in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Look forward to the next video.